workshops and teaching is something I genuinely love. So I hope you guys all get value out of tonight and you hopefully learn something new. So let's kick things off. Tonight's a heavy night. We've got a lot to talk about, especially, when you try to recap what Google Ads is in an hour. That's pretty difficult. So I'll try to do my best here. So tonight you're going to learn a bit about me and my company, Easy Shop, some of the common misconceptions of Google Ads and its real or true power, an overview of some of the most utilized campaign types with a focus on paid search. And the reason I'm saying also just some of the campaign types is there's honestly so much to look at. I want to give you guys value tonight, and maybe some of you have your own businesses or projects you're working on. And I feel that with tonight's presentation, you'll be able to leverage Google Ads in a very beginner or entry-level capacity, but still make the most out of it. And then it's important to understand how to measure that campaign success. And if we have time, I'll open it up for a Q&A. So a bit about us. First, on my end, I'm CEO here of Easy Shop, but that wasn't always my role. Prior to this, I have just over 7+ nearly 8 years of hands-on Google Ads experience, which really means that I'm the one who's programming the campaigns, building strategies, presenting reports, going to clients to pitch them, etc. And over these past years, specifically for the first 5 years of my career, from about 20 to 25 years of age, I worked on some pretty awesome brands. Some of the ones here like Michelin, David C, Holt Renfrew, and Espresso, as well as a bunch of others across Canada and the US. Prior to Easy Shop and right after the agency world, I founded my own small boutique consultancy, for everything that's Google Ads, again, for clients across North America. And I'm a frequent guest lecturer at Champlain College and Concordia, and as well as a workshop host for myself and even Easy Shop as a whole. So Easy Shop, or I like to say, Easy Shop isn't your typical marketing agency. We're 100% retail oriented, which means that in order to work with Easy Shop, you have to have a physical store. So a lot of marketing agencies are going to work with just about anybody. Our specialty is really retail marketing. So taking you from physical success and bringing that success online in the form of, recurring orders, full scope agency like paid ads, SEO, social media management, analytics, website building, and more, as well as an in-house tech team. So most marketing agencies will not have a tech team developing not so much apps like on your phone, but more applications to help our consumers. So again, we're working specifically with retailers. Right now, our team is building an app that will be part of Lightspeed and Shopify, just to name a few CMSs, where retailers will have the opportunity to really just make their lives easier with their app. I don't want to give away too much, but essentially all this to say, Easy Shop isn't just a regular agency here. We work specifically with retailers, and we're here to develop them from the offline world into the online world. We have just over 150 active monthly clients. We reached 2 million ARR in just under 18 months, and this is growing quickly. We're official Lightspeed partners with our friends here in Montreal. We have just over 20 employees, actually 25 as of today. We try to not really outsource any of our work. We really want to keep this in-house and make this a Montreal run or Quebec run company. And we're 100% self-funded, and we're super proud about that. So enough about us. Let's talk about some interesting stuff, such as the common misconceptions of Google Ads and its true power. So for those of you that don't know, there are over 8.5 billion searches per day on Google, and each one of these searches is an opportunity to promote your business or your service. But Google Ads isn't just one ad type or format. We can really accomplish so much in so many different mediums. A lot of people think that Google Ads is just text ads. So when you're going to go to Google, you'll see these little ads here. It's so much more than that. It's really a full digital ecosystem. So we're going to talk about a few of these different channels or campaign types today, but you can do everything from creating brand awareness at scale or even on a small level, just in your local city, or as small as just an area code, as well as influence consideration based on your own first-party data, third-party data, which is owned by Google, and then you could drive action by generating sales with things like search or Google Shopping. But how does it all work? To make it very simple, Google Ads is a real-time auction happening in milliseconds where hundreds or thousands of advertisers are bidding at the very same time as you are. So all of this is happening in real time. And essentially what you're doing is you're providing Google a minimum bid. So you're telling Google, I'm willing to spend as little as this or as high as this. So example, you say to Google, for this specific keyword or this audience or whatever campaign you're trying to run, I'm willing to spend $4 every time someone clicks on my ad. If you're seeing that the competition is frequently bidding, let's say $6 or $8, Google's going to figure out that, well, your bid doesn't meet the requirements or the minimum bid requirements to be visible in this auction. However, let's say you're bidding $2 in an auction that's worth $4, you will then have the opportunity to showcase your ads in front of these users. This is very honestly a super simple approach to it. It's much more complex than this, but at a high level, you get the gist that in order to be visible with Google Ads, you have to put in a bid, and sometimes that bid will meet the maximum requirement, and other times your bid may not be sufficient for that maximum requirement. When it comes to bidding, we have three types of bidding options. One, which is probably the most common, especially for something like performance marketing, you're going to be looking at cost per click, or often referred to as CPC. So how much do you pay when a user clicks on your ad? You also have cost per thousand, CPM, or you could think of cost per mil, how much you pay per 1,000 ad impressions, and then cost per engagement. For example, every time someone signs up to your form or every time someone views your video, there's a cost per engagement. But with the right data, and this is not so much on the 101 side, a bit more advanced, but I think it's super important to know that you don't always have to bid manually. So what I was talking about earlier is that, you're saying to Google you're willing to bid $2 or $4. With automated bidding or machine learning bidding, which is something that Google Ads provides, you can kind of leave the guesswork to Google, and Google, using its infinite knowledge, will be able to optimize your bids or your campaigns in order to get the most out of it, whether that be traffic or conversions, and whether that conversion is a transaction on an e-commerce site or a call booking or a form submission on a service business. That's kind of up to you and your business model. But essentially, with enough data, Google could do a lot for you, specifically the bidding. I'm not going to get into too much detail here, but essentially, whenever you're starting a campaign, it's quite normal. You have no data, so you're going to go with a manual approach. But over time, whether that be 30 days or 6 months, depending on the type of data that you're acquiring, Google Ads will be able to optimize these bids for you and essentially get the most bang for your buck. So let's jump into some of the most utilized campaign types in Google Ads. And I'm going to really focus on paid search today, or those text ads, because for one, Google Ads was really built on text ads and SEO or organic. So I really want to focus our presentation tonight on this. And ultimately, you'll probably get the most value out of paid search, because honestly, it's probably one of the most complex campaign types out there, if not done properly. So like I mentioned, we're going to focus on paid search first. Then we're going to jump into display or banner advertising on the Google Display Network, video advertising within YouTube, and then remarketing. For anyone here tonight who knows anything about Google Ads, you'll notice that I didn't mention Google Shopping. There's a really important reason for that, and that's because it's not beginner, it's not 101. I could speak an hour and a half just on Google Shopping by itself. So hint, hint, you guys, you can always organize that workshop in the future, and I would love that. But otherwise, I really want to talk about the basic campaign types, what you can do today. And shopping is realistically not going to be something that everyone could take value in. However, I feel that these 4 campaign types are something that you can start leveraging right away. So let's kick it off. When it comes to paid search, I personally believe that SEM, or search engine marketing, is the #1 channel most businesses should be leveraging. Maybe I'm a bit biased because a majority of my career was really focused on SEM and performance marketing. But at the end of the day, we got to see things as a funnel. And when people are coming to Google, they're showing interest in typing specific products or services that you're looking for. The consumer is really telling you what they need, and you as an advertiser or marketer just need to be present when that's happening. So it's this difference between push versus pull, something like social media ads is going to be on the push side, right? You're in social, you're browsing your feed. You're not necessarily in the mindset to purchase something. Whereas when you're going to Google or even Amazon for that matter, you're typing in what you need today or the type of service that you're looking for in the future. So this is, to me, why we have to focus on that pull marketing. And when it comes to performance marketing, this is probably going to be the easiest campaign type to leverage to generate those sales or that traction that you're looking for on your website. So successful search campaigns are made up of three key elements. The first, and probably one of the most important, of course, are going to be keywords, the ads or the text ads that people will see on Google, and then the extensions, which I'll get into later. I often get this question, how do I know what keywords to bid on? Or I have the other spectrum, which is, here's all these keywords that I want to bid on without necessarily understanding, are people even searching for these keywords? Well, the guesswork is over because Google actually offers a free tool called Google's Keyword Planner, and anybody could leverage this tool. All you have to do is create a free Google Ads account and click on the Keyword Planner. There is something you should note, though, is that if your account has never spent a penny in the past or is not spending today, you won't get accurate data in the sense where it might tell you a keyword has anywhere between 10 searches a month to 100 searches a month, which obviously is not very accurate. So in order to make the most out of Google Ads, you could be spending a bit of money on it, but ultimately this will still give you good understanding of whether or not people are actually searching for the keywords you think people or your users would be interested in. So once you get into this tool, it's super simple. You just put in a couple of keywords that, again, you think people or your users would be searching. Let's use the example, furniture, or even bedside table. And then you'll be brought to this page where, based on the original keyword or the seed keyword, it's going to populate hundreds sometimes, or in this case, thousands of keyword ideas based on related terms, such as other brands who are selling these types of products, or even just a bunch of variations of these keywords. For example, with bedside table, it could be different colors, sizes for specific rooms, etc. And in this case, like we can see, there are really thousands of keywords to choose from. So you wouldn't necessarily want to select all of these off the bat because, for one, they all have different intent. As we can see, if you're trying to focus on something like bedside table, a keyword like sofa might be a bit irrelevant. So it's going to be important to refine that keyword using different filters, such as the ones that you can see here. And this is actually a new feature in Google Ads. When I started in the industry about 7 years ago, all of this work was really manual within their tool. So they're trying to make it super simple for even the most beginner advertiser out there to properly leverage this tool. So again, they're eliminating the guesswork out of this keyword discovery phase. So once you do select these keywords, again, up to you to go through them and refine them in the best way that you see fit. But once you do this, you can then select these keywords and build a forecast. So whether this is kind of just for internal use, a project, or even pitching to a potential client, it's as simple as selecting the keywords that you feel are the most relevant. And once you select them and you clarify your target location, your languages such as Canada or English, and then you set a specific daily budget that you're willing to invest, Google's going to tell you or kind of give a guesstimate of what you could expect. Keep in mind, this is with no optimization. It's just a high-level expectation based on the keywords you selected and the location selected. It'll then tell you, with all of these keywords and this daily budget, you could expect to get X amount of clicks, and it would cost you X amount per month. This is also a good way of figuring out what the average cost per click would be for your industry or the keywords you've selected. Here, $1.84 is actually on probably the average side of things versus an industry like finance or even crypto, etc. You're probably seeing keywords anywhere from $20 to like $60 a click. So keep in mind, just because you're seeing $1.84 here doesn't mean that every single industry or every keyword on average is worth this. This is very specific to the keywords I've selected here. So it's crucial that you're using the keyword planner to figure out what the average cost per click is for your industry or the types of keywords you want to select. Just a quick add-on too, Google over probably last few months or so has added this feature for year-over-year change, which I think is pretty interesting. If you only want to be focusing on keywords that are seeing positive growth, you can do that as well. And similarly, you might want to exclude keywords that are seeing negative growth year over year. There's 3 ways to bid on keywords, and this is extremely important. The first is going to be what's called a match type or a broad match type. And this essentially means that when you select this keyword, you're telling Google that I want to bid for this in broad. So you could technically appear for anything related to the keyword you've indicated. So in this case, even though you've selected in your keyword planner, for example, iPhone case, you could appear on Google for a keyword like Apple phone case or best iPhone case. So as we can see, it's not exactly, but it's related to what you've selected. When it comes to phrase, it's a bit more precise. You'll see these quotations here that are telling Google that this keyword cannot change. However, you can add anything before or after it. So it searches with the same meaning as your keyword, blue iPhone case waterproof. Again, it's less so related, but more so specific to the exact term that you have here with add-ons before or after said keyword. And lastly, probably the most comprehensive of them all is the exact match match type, which of course, if you're looking for just iPhone case as a keyword, Google will only show variations of this keyword and not things that are related or closely related to this keyword. So as we can see here, you would appear for something like iPhone case, iPhone cases in plural, and then case iPhone, if for whatever reason you're searching like that. Google used to have something called broad match modified, which, not to get too complex about it, would allow you to do what broad does in the sense where you can select very specific keywords and then ensure that Google is finding related terms to that without having to necessarily bid on a bunch of different terms. Google will be able to figure out for you what these related terms would be. But ultimately, that's phased out. It doesn't exist anymore. What's important to know is that there's 3 key match types: broad, phrase, exact. As you could imagine, the closer or the more refined your keyword is, the more precise, or sorry, the better, if I could say like this, the performance should be, right? Because if you're only selling iPhone cases, or let's say blue iPhone cases, and you only want to appear for those types of keywords, but then you're using something like broad match, which could now appear for, first of all, any type of model, any type of color, etc. It's less precise, again, hence the broad term. So the more precise you are with your match type, the better results you will typically get. But keep in mind, you're also probably paying a bit of a premium when it comes to cost per clicks, because again, Google is kind of going to try to benefit from you in a sense, where if you're showing clear specifications or clear indications on what's important for you, you may end up paying a couple cents more per click. Again, this varies by industry. Very simply, what if I don't want to appear for specific keywords? Super simple. Google allows you to use something called negative keywords. So it's important to think of terms that you do not want to associate with your brand, your product, or services that you're offering. And when you're doing your keyword research in the keyword planner, honestly, you'll probably find dozens or hundreds of keywords that you do not want to appear for. So it's going to be very important to document or save these keywords somewhere, because you're going to want to add them into your negative keywords. Common examples would be something like jobs, how-tos, free, salary, example. And if ever you really don't know where to start with these negative keywords, you could literally just Google Google Ads negative keyword list, and you'll probably find quite a few options on Google. And honestly, just like that, you could populate a few hundred negative keywords. So this will help you significantly, because keep in mind, especially if you're, just to quickly go back, if you're using something like broad match or even phrase match, and you know off the bat you don't sell blue iPhone cases or a specific model of iPhone cases, you can now leverage this as a negative keyword. Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah, one quick tip is that I strongly recommend to leverage negative keywords in the phrase match type. So again, if you know that anything related to job, how to, free, salary, example, etc., is not relevant for you, as opposed to putting that just an exact. You want to put it in phrase because you want to tell Google Ads that you do not want to appear for anything related to these terms as well, or close to these terms. When it comes to text ads, it's truly never been so easy to create strong performing ones. In the past, so about 7 years ago, like I said, when I started, we had to manually create three unique text ads per what is called an ad group. So you can often find yourself with thousands and thousands of ads to create for these very large clients that I was managing in the past. And ultimately, it becomes just very difficult to manage. Now, Google has created something called responsive search ads. What responsive search ads are is essentially that I can now populate up to 15 headlines and 4 descriptions, and Google is going to automatically optimize the positioning of those headlines and descriptions together to find the most impactful or performing text ad for you. So really, one ad, if you're leveraging all 15 headlines and 4 descriptions, one ad could come out to over 43,000 variations. So again, you're making this extremely simple when it comes to management and ad creation. And again, you're now leveraging Google's machine learning to push the ad or the combination of headlines and descriptions that work best. When it comes to extensions, it's a great way to push competitors down SERPs or search engine result pages with these added features. So I won't go into each of these specifically. There are quite a few that you can leverage, but you can do things for like site links, which would essentially help you or help these users go to other pages on your website. So for example, they're looking for a specific product that you're offering on site, a text ad appears, but you want to show them your return policy as an extra extension or an extra page before making that purchase. These users can click that site link directly and go to the right page. Callouts are just bits of information that you want to call out, like, I don't know, 24/7 support, free shipping over $100, etc. Structured snippets are very similar in that you cannot click it. It's just calling out additional information on your business or your website. Location extensions, which are actually Google My Business listing. So anyone who wants to find your direct location and is within a certain radius will be able to see your Google My Business listing directly in your ad. So this is cool because you give the opportunity for that user to click the call option, which would literally allow them to call your business, and then you're paying for a click as opposed to, paying for a call as opposed to a click, as well as a Google Map direction. So they're clicking maps and they could find the best way to get to your location. You have call, which again, you can pay to call. You're paying for users to call your business. Price extension, so you're showcasing different prices available on your site. A promotion extension like 30% off site-wide. And then if you have a physical app on the App Store, you can actually promote this directly in your text ad. So this is what your text ad could look like directly in Google without extensions. But with extensions, you're seeing that it's significantly bigger. You could just imagine that on a mobile screen, you're going from about maybe a quarter of the screen to now over 3/4 of the screen, if not the full page. So we're seeing that Nespresso here is leveraging what's called callouts, just callouts about the business, what's called structured snippets, so highlighting other callouts about the business, their location, and then site links. And again, even though you might populate within Google Ads all of the extensions I mentioned here, you can only show up to 4 at a time. So that's why it's just extremely important to leverage as many as possible, because you really have no say on what Google is going to show at any time. So it's just important to have it uploaded in your account at all times. Next, Google Display or the Google Display Network. What is the Google Display Network? So it's actually kind of complicated, but kind of simple at the same time. So GDN is made up of over 2 million partner websites, YouTube itself, and apps directly found on the Google Play Store. And you can essentially show anything from static images, GIFs, or videos within GDN. Just also a clarification on partner websites. I've over my career tried to find what are or who are these 2 million partner websites. There's no list or listing available. But a good one that I like to give is Kijiji, eBay are big partner websites in this network. But you could also have kind of a mom and pop shop that is accepting ads on their site for whatever reason, or just let's say even an MTL blog that allows ads on their site could potentially have your ads directly on theirs. Maybe that's a bad example because they have actually a closed ad network, but all this to say, you could potentially find yourself on blogs or very small sites. It's not always huge traffic websites. So like search ads, responsive display ads, this is what they're called now, have never been easier to create. So in the past, you really had to have a graphic designer on your team to leverage GDN or banner ads. Today, it's super, super simple. You're basically uploading images. So these are going to be lifestyle images. Again, you have it could be clothing images if you're a clothing brand, but you're not basically creating the graphic in and of itself. You're just putting the images or uploading the images as assets. You're uploading also headlines, descriptions, logos, videos if you have any, and Google will automatically create everything that you're seeing here. The advantage to this is that in the past, you had to manually, or your graphic designer rather, had to manually create all of these different ads in very specific specs or dimensions. So one, it's very costly. Two, you probably have one or two dimensions that work very well and the rest are not working well at all. So it costs a lot of, or used to cost a lot of money. And most times they weren't very performing, because what happens is that if your graphic designer is creating a banner that's 480 by 120, well, and you're uploading this in Google Ads, this banner can now only appear in online inventory that allows for that exact sizing. But with responsive display ads, because there's no actual dimensions being submitted to Google Ads, and Google is the one automatically optimizing all of these different formats and dimensions, you now have the opportunity to appear as classic, what I'll call display ads, text ads within display, a combination of native media, which is kind of like more immersive ads, so you wouldn't even realize it's an ad essentially, and then also just more traditional display ads or formats. So really the benefit here is that similar to the text ads, you're eliminating the guesswork out of what is working well, what's not working so well, and it's just extremely fast to build these assets as opposed to in the past. So honestly, this is probably one of the best features that's come out of Google Ads in the last couple of years, as well as the responsive search ads. When it comes to targeting on GDN and YouTube, it's basically all the same, making this next step very simple for you. So here are a few common targeting methods, and honestly, these are probably the best ones you're going to want to leverage anyways. You have affinity or interest targeting. This is going to be very similar to what you would find on like a Facebook ads, where you're targeting users based on their interests. I often get the question, how do you know what people are interested in, or how do you know what they're browsing? Super simple. Anyone who's connected to their Gmail will automatically, how can I say, gather this data for Google Ads. So because your Gmail is associated to your browser, for the most part, it's going to follow you across its network. So again, its network is very vast, from things like Google search, all of these different 2 million plus partners, YouTube, which already is the second largest search engine in the world, the app network, etc. It's taking all of this data from you as a user and then trying to figure out, based on the stuff that you're browsing, the stuff you're searching, the videos you're watching, in the past, the emails you would receive, but they're not allowed to do that anymore. So all of this information is helping Google kind of bundle you into different groups or affinity groups. So this is one way that we're able to target dog lovers, for example, or people who are interested in soccer. Next, you have what's probably one of my top two audiences is in-market audiences. So this is actually the only audience within Google Ads that's updated extremely frequently. Most of these other ones are updated, if I'm not mistaken, on a monthly basis, versus this one that is updated every 24 hours. What I like about this is that you can actually target people who are in market, meaning that they're actually looking to purchase a specific product or service. And it could be something like in market for, I don't know, a TV or soccer cleats, or again, a specific service, plumbing services. Google is getting better and better. So this is probably an audience type that's been available for a couple of years now. And every quarter or so, we're seeing new audiences being added, which I love, because when it comes to performance marketing, again, you want to focus on the low-hanging fruit, the people who are most likely to convert or purchase. And this is a great audience to do that. Next, you have custom intent. This is probably my favorite audience because it allows us to do something called remarketing in a sense. And the reason I'm using these, quotations is because you can essentially remarket people based on the keywords they've searched within Google search or Google and YouTube. So example, let's say I am Michelin and I want to figure out, or I want to show my video ad to people who are actively looking for Bridgestone tires. I can now create this custom intent list made up of dozens or hundreds of Bridgestone related keywords, and now retarget or just target people who are actively searching for those keywords. So from a competitive standpoint, custom intent is super interesting. Or similarly, if you're, I don't know, you're a digital marketing agency like myself, and you're finding keywords like I don't know, digital marketing agency near me, and these people are frequently searching for these keywords, it's a great opportunity for me to leverage my banner ads or my video advertising directly to those audiences or users. Next, demographics. So basic information like age and gender. Placements, which I think is pretty interesting as well. So when it comes to banner ads on GDN, Google Display Network, you can target specific websites if they're part of the GDN, which you can only see once you upload your domain in. And then what I find super interesting when it comes to YouTube advertising, you can actually target specific YouTube channels. So example, you want to focus on people who, for whatever reason, love Mr. Beast. You can specifically just target that channel. Similarly, you can also do targeting based on specific videos. So if you know people who are watching video X, Y, and Z are your core niche, well, you can retarget or target people who have watched those specific videos. And finally, you can target people based on topics. So these are ads that are targeted based on specific content found on the website or the videos. So again, I'm Michelin. I want to target people who are on car or auto related websites. I can use automobile as a topic, for example. Or similarly for YouTube, anything related to auto, I can now target as a topic. When it comes to YouTube ad formats, there's 3 core ones to consider. First is going to be the skippable pre-roll ad, which can really be in any length. We typically are recommending 15 to 30 seconds, but of course, if you don't have that, that's no problem. Users will be able to skip that pre-roll ad after 5 seconds. Then you have non-skippable ads for videos that are 15 or 30 seconds long. Personally, I'm not a fan of these. And when we look at performance, we can actually see that sometimes this format could actually have a negative impact on your target audience because you're creating some type of a frustration. Because keep in mind, most people do not want to watch your video ads. And finally, you have what's called 6-second bumpers. So these are ads that cannot be skipped. However, they are only 6 seconds. So this is actually awesome to use in something like remarketing, where here at Easy Shop, we have 5 core services. I can retarget people with specific bumpers of each of my services, for example, of only 6 seconds long. And that's an easy way of leveraging it. Let's say I'm a bike store. I want to highlight servicing. So you want to service your bike. I can show a specific ad for that. Or similarly, only bike parts or bikes in it of it themselves. I can show a bumper that's only related to the parts or the bikes themselves. So I think that's super interesting and something that is not super new, but only came out in the last 2-3 years-ish. And finally, we have remarketing. So you can really remarket or retarget, however way you say it. It's pretty much the same thing across Google's ad inventory. So all of the channels we looked at earlier today, such as Google Search, GDN, YouTube, we can retarget users on those networks. So I often get questions, who should I retarget on my website? Or The other extreme is that I'll retarget everyone in the same way, but that's really a missed opportunity because ultimately all the people who are coming to your website should not be valued the same way, right? So the retargeting that you're doing should be based on key audiences or key indicators. Example, if they added to cart but didn't purchase, that's a good opportunity to retarget them versus someone who did add to cart and did purchase. You may not want to retarget them and not create kind of a frustration out of it either. Next, you might have someone who completed 80% of your form on your service website, but then dropped off. That's a great opportunity to retarget that user. Or similarly, you might say that my average time on site is 1 minute long, and I want to retarget people who spent at least 40 seconds plus on site. So this is just for one, it's a question of budget too, and also just keeping in mind that everyone should not be valued the same way when they come on your website, because ultimately some people will show more signs of intent to make that purchase or that final decision, and others maybe aren't ready to do it. So you may not necessarily want to add them into your very performing or high performance marketing remarketing tactic. There's other channels also that I mentioned, sorry, that I did not mention, like the shopping channel. However, like I said, that's something probably for another workshop. However, keep in mind that by retargeting people, you do not just want to retarget people who interacted with your ad, right? You want to retarget people who interacted with your website. And the only way that you could do that is using a tool called Google Analytics, which I'll quickly talk about in a couple of slides. When it comes to measuring success, there are things that there's a lot of reports that Google is offering off the bat. So in the past, in Google's, well, when it used to be called Google AdWords, sorry, you would have to manually create these reports. But today, Google has given us the flexibility or the possibility to really just pull reports within seconds. And I don't highlight it here, but there's probably close to 50 types of reports that you can pull, all from things that are basic, like just cost per click metrics, which keywords are performing better, which ones have the highest impressions, how long it takes to convert as well, which conversions are happening on the site, etc. There's honestly so many. I probably only leverage 2 or 3 of these predefined reports that I feel are most important for my clients, but it doesn't mean that they're not all important. It really depends on the targets you have for that specific campaign or your account. And it also depends on what channels, right? So something like video viewability doesn't make sense for text ads or paid search, but it definitely does make sense for YouTube ads. But finally, when it comes to reporting or analytics, it's crucial that you do not pull direct information from Google Ads. You should be looking at an analytics platform that's able to highlight or outline both organic traffic, so your SEO, and your paid traffic as well, whether that's coming from Google or even something like Facebook ads. So this will help you better understand, again, how paid and organic are performing together, and will give you a better idea of how the whole site is performing as a whole. Very top level, you can see things like which channels are generating the most traffic for you, which ones have the highest bounce rate. So for example, if you're seeing that your Google Ads has the highest bounce rate and the rest of your site is maybe at 30-40%, this probably tells you that the keywords you're targeting or the types of campaigns you have in market might need to be reworked. And again, that's just one of the ways we can leverage this. Similarly, you can look at transactions and revenue and much more. There's also something called attribution, which essentially tells us what did the user do, what did the user click on first, and how did they finally convert. So oftentimes we'll say that, okay, the paid search campaigns work super well because they come to Google and they click that ad and they finally convert. But what happens if they saw a video first, or they saw a Facebook ad first and then made that research? Attribution is one of the ways we can better measure performance and have a better understanding of how our marketing funnel or campaigns are performing as a whole. Again, just GA, Google Analytics could probably be a whole workshop in it of itself. It's extremely valuable. And if you're leveraging something like a Shopify or Lightspeed, it's going to be relatively simple to implement. So at a very high level, that was Google Ads. Again, this could probably be a 2-3 hour workshop, but I hope that even though it was super high level, you guys saw value today. And if there are any questions, I'd love to open the floor to a Q&A.
Thank you so much.